Good afternoon, Mr. President. I am teacher Yasmin, faculty for Hekasi. It was in my class that the sixth graders wrote to you their letters. I will be moderating the talakayan. Frances.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I am graduating from the 6th grade this year. My name is Frances Crisostomo. Our teachers are always telling us about Daang Matuwid. How much progress have we accomplished towards Daang Matuwid? What do you think is the most important step in achieving this? And how can we as children contribute to Daang Matuwid?
Thank you for your multiple questions, Francis. How far have we gone? I think we've gone quite far. No? What is one of the essential elements of remaining on Daang Matuwid is the idea that we have to do away with what is called the culture of impunity. If I think it's better if I use Tagalog in this program. Dati parang pwede ka magnakaw, parang walang maninita sa'yo, walang manghuhuli sa'yo, hindi ka makukulong. So, kung gagawa ka ng mali, tapos parati ka nakakalusot, parang nagiging halimbawa sa iba, nagayahin ka dahil wala namang magbabayad. Yeah? So, isang pinaka-importante kailangan natin, meron tayong sistema na hudikatura, yung ating judicial system has to work. No? So, one of the very first and most important steps has been the removal of the former Chief Justice. Okay? Bakit tinanggal yung Chief Justice? No? Amongst the sins, sa Constitution, which all of us in public service have to subscribe to, we have an oath. It says, defend and uphold the Constitution. One of the provisions in the Constitution says, a public official, public employee, has to execute a statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. Para malaman natin kung kumita siya habang nakapwesto dahil paggamit sa opisina niya. So, at dating Chief Justice, nagsabi ng kanyang cash assets, 2%, less than 2% of the total. 98% hindi niya sinabi. So, violation ng Constitution, kaya natanggal siya sa pwesto. So, ito mensahe sa lahat ng hukom na pati kayo, hindi kayo above the law. Pati kayo kailangan sumunod sa batas. So, pag merong mga ginagawang tiwali, hulihin natin, yung kaso isasampa natin matibay, dadalhin sa korte, yung korte magko-convict sa kanila, makukulong sila. Siguro naman matitigil yung bang gagaya sa kanilang halimbawa. So, malaki-laki na nabante natin dito sa Daang Matuwid na to, yung mga credit ratings agencies, for instance, so, yung nagsasabing, okay ba yung mga pag pinautang tayo, nasa one notch below investment grade na lang tayo. Nagkaroon na tayo ng di bababa sa parang 8 na investment upgrade, ratings upgrade. Yung ating market, pinapakita yung negosyo pumapasok sa ating bansa. Itong araw na to, umabot na tayo ng 50-second time na nag-break sila ng record nila. In roughly about 2 years and 5 months na tatrabaho tayo dito. So, yung pinakamagandang benepisyo natin dito, nakakautang tayo ngayon na mas mababa ang interest, mas mahaba yung panahon na kailang babayarin dahil mas may tiwala na yung komunidad sa labas ng bansa sa ating abilidad na para magbayad. So medyo, sorry, mahaba yung sagot. Medyo mahaba rin yung tanong mo, pero paano na tayo? Yung malaylayo na, ano magagawa nyo bilang bata? Siyempre, dito habang nag-aaral kayo, dito tinuturo sa paralan nyo at sa bahay nyo, simbahan, ano tama. Pagdating na kayo ng gagawa ng desisyon, sana wag nyo makalimutan yung mga leksyon na yung tama, tama, yung mali, mali. Hindi pwedeng medyo tama, medyo mali. Walang ganun. Tama o mali. At wag natin bitawan yung tama.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Amaya Severino, a 6th grader. We Filipinos are known for being very masayahin. I am masayahin. What character trait would you want our country to develop more? In what way can we practice this at our young age?
Yung siguro isang magandang trait, no? And I really like to encourage you. Actually, I said it in, I think, my second song, if I'm not mistaken. Yung our ability to say thank you should really be nurtured again. No? You have, for instance, you have a traffic policeman who inhales all of the pollution, who stands under the heat, whose presence ensures that the traffic flows correctly. How many times do you think in a year will somebody come up to you and say, "Sir, thank you sa ginagawa nyo"? No? How about your teachers? When was the last time you said, thank you, ma'am, for teaching us? How about your parents? No? Besides your birthday and Christmas when they gave you a gift. No? When was the last time you said, thank you, mom, thank you, dad? Or even to your classmates who did you a good turn. No? A lot of times, especially for those of us in public service, no? When people are getting into public service, I tell them, if you're looking for a lot of thank yous, that doesn't happen. No? A lot of times, they'll focus on the things that have yet to be done rather than the things that have already been done. So it really helps, no, to feel that the work, the sacrifices that you're doing is appreciated by somebody. So and the next time you have an opportunity to say thank you, perhaps we should nurture that trait that we used to have, no. And sometimes medyo naging impersonal na yung society natin. Let's bring back the humanity in it. And thank you goes a long way doing that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Magandang hapon po, President Aquino. Ayon sa aking kaibigan, si Frankie Pangilinan, ang edukasyon ng aming henerasyon ang magiging bukas ng ating nasyon. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I am 6th grader Ronan Francisco, 12 years old. How will I be protected by the cybercrime law as a good user of the internet in this generation, because I only use the internet for homework and for games on weekends?
So how will it protect you? No? Well, unfortunately, di ba parang I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, the Bible tells us even in the Garden of Eden, there was a snake. No? So, unfortunately, the internet is really such a fantastic tool in the sense that when you look for information, and assuming you know where to look for, no? Kasi there are a lot of people who put things on the net that actually are nonsense. No? But if you know how to look for the right stuff, instead of going through a library and really scouring all of the volumes, no, that you would need the answer to, just a few clicks of the mouse away. Okay. Unfortunately, there are, like the Garden of Eden, there are snakes also in it. So what does the cybercrime law do? No? Amongst other things, it protects your identity. It seeks to remove sites that are harmful to people. No? It seeks to take away people who are predators on the net, people who will want to do you harm, people who will want to perpetrate hoaxes. Like may version, somebody sends you an email. I don't think you should know. You should think about that first. But there are those who commit crimes using the internet, and this bill seeks to codify or to put into law precisely that these activities are illegal, and parang they set the basis for prosecuting those who would use the internet for wrong purposes. That's what the cybercrime law seeks to do.
Salamat po, mahal na Pangulo.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I am Eljo Ribiana, a 5th grader, and I love to travel around our country to see our beautiful islands. I hope we do not lose Panatag Shoal. Do we have any efficient and modern equipment for our Navy if in case we really need to defend Panatag Shoal? Why can't we ask help from other countries to go against China?
Well, some basic facts muna. No? We have if you look at our map, you have a coastline, very extensive coastline. The coastline is about 36,000 kilometers. Okay? Do we have a modern Navy? We have 132 ships to guard the 36,000 kilometers. So, bahala ka na mag-divide. Oh. How many kilometers does each ship have to guard? And that's just the coastline. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, we have a 200-mile economic zone. So we're supposed to protect that zone, not only in terms of yung exploitation of the wealth that's there, but more importantly, siguro the ecology of the area is also our responsibility. So that's 200 miles from our baselines. No? And again, we have 132 ships, and most of the ships are World War II or older. No? So parang shortly, parang mga 1940s. We have 2 newer ships, the BRP, ang Gregorio del Pilar, and the new one that's coming in is Ramon Alcaraz. Now, they are former Coast Guard cutters of America. Okay. What should be clear is, what we're doing is with Panatag Shoal is, Panatag is about 120 miles from Masinloc in Zambales. So, it's clearly within our 200-mile exclusive economic zone. So what we're trying to do is protect our rights, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to go to war with China. No, don't forget, there are 1.3 billion Chinese in the People's Republic of China. We are 95 million Filipinos. No, they are a world superpower. They are a nuclear power, and it doesn't help us, nor does it help the Chinese to go into war. So that when we protect our rights, we can go to court. No, amongst the fora that we can go to is a body under the UN called the International Tribunal on the Law of the Seas, where we can make our case. And we think we have a very good case. And once that tribunal recognizes it, or other fora that we can go to, then China will have to recognize our rights. Okay. Now, yung reverse siguro dyan is if they try to take something that's ours and we don't voice our opposition to it, then that's practically giving away that which is ours, which I am not empowered to do under the Constitution. I am mandated to protect our national integrity and our national sovereignty. But none of us in government, and I don't think the Chinese also, would want to go into a war over uninhabitable rock formations. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President, sir.
Thank you, Aljo.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I am so glad to meet you in person. I am Joshua Bangilan, a 5th grader. I have heard so much corruption in our country, but why is there corruption in the first place, and how do we stop it?
For something like 9.5 years, and even before that, but more especially, the 9.5 years before I started into office, there were certain people in government who felt that being in a particular post entitled them to enrich themselves at the people's expense. What does that mean? No? I assumed office June 30, noon 2010. Noon of June 30, 2010. In June 28 of the year 2010, so bali about a day and a half before they were supposed to leave office, they were still executing a contract for a project called Bridges ng Pangulo. Okay. Now, what's wrong with the bridges? Yung bridges kasi, they contracted for prefabricated bridges. Kumbaga ready-made yung bridges. I-assemble mo na lang. Pag gagawa ka ng tulay, di ba kunyari may river. Gaano ba ang distansya from one river bank to the other? Then that's what you have the approaches. That's the amount of bridge that you would have to cross the river. What they did was to order the bridges, then try to look for places where these bridges will fit. Okay? So, ulit inuna na munang paggawa yung tulay, tapos hahanapan na lang kung saan babagay itong tulay na to. Tapos, yung bilyong piso, ang gagastusin natin dito sa walang silbi, tapos ang paniwala natin, bakit pinasukan yung proyekto yan, merong kikita. Okay? Yung kabila naman, sa Laguna Lake, isang pinahinto ko, yung Laguna Lake, gusto natin paramihin yung tubig na pwedeng manatili sa Laguna Lake. Ang gagawin nila, i-dredge. Parang medyo maganda. Tinanong ko, pag drenage, tatanggalin niyo yung putik sa loob ng lake. Saan niyo dadalhin? Ay kukunin sa isang parte ng lake, ilalagay ulit sa kabilang parte ng lake. Okay? So, mukhang alam na niya, di ba? Matter occupies space. Yeah? May volume. If it occupies the same space, therefore, the water holding capacity is not increased. So, in effect, maglalaro tayo ng putik. Yeah? Kukuha ka ng putik dito, dadali mo dun. Ang gastos natin, as a people, 18.7 billion pesos to play with mud. Okay? Kasi, basta maraming malipad sa project na yun, pero yun yung pinaka-fundamental. Hindi mo tatanggalin yung nag-occupy ng space, paano dadami yung tubig na mananatili doon sa lake. Okay? Pinahintiyo natin. Ulit. So, kombinasyon, taong palagay nila may entitled sila. Dahil nakapwesto ako dito, entitled akong kumita sa kaban ng bayan. Number 2, bawas yung konsensya. No? Yung 18.7 billion na yun, divide mo by about 700,000 pesos, that's the number of classrooms we can build. Okay. We need 66,800 classrooms for all students in the Philippines to have a classroom. Okay. So, itatapon sa tulay, maglalaro ng putik, pero walang mapagawang classroom. Okay. Now, So, para natin hintuin yun. Yung mga taong ganun, na nagsamantala, no nasa pwesto sila, kailangan panagutin natin. Kaya hinahanda natin yung mga kaso, dadalhin sa korte, magkakaroon ng paglilitis, at sa dulo, inaasahan natin, makukulong yung mga nagkasala sa bayan. Okay. Now, in contrast, dito sa Daang Matuwid, by next year, and roughly about the third year that I'll be in office, yung 66,800 classrooms, tapos na yung backlog. Magagawa na natin lahat. Will be about 40,000 by this year, next month. No, 40,000 by the next year. The remaining about 20,800 will also have been done. Okay, that's the difference. No, siguro mayroon malapit dito. I don't know kung may nadaan na sa inyo doon sa Quezon Avenue at saka Araneta Avenue na intersection. May underpass na ngayon doon eh. This is near Santo Domingo, no? Nung unang pinibid out yung project, mga 690 million pesos. Nung tayo naupo, parang tinanggal natin, paliwala natin sobra, naging 500 plus million. Nung nag-competitive bidding na totoo, naging 430 million na lang. Okay, so from 690, naging 430. Tapos, napaaga pa yung construction by 100 days. So imagine roughly about what was needed was only 2/3 of the amount that was actually dispersed. Pero 430 and 690, that's 260 na difference. Parang dinagdagan ng 50% ulit. Na pwede ulit, ha? Naging classroom, pwede naging ospital, pwede naging dagdag na karsada. Can I just use as a last example, no? Yung sa amin sa Tarlac, dadaan yung MacArthur Highway. It's also called the Manila North Road. This is the main road going from Manila to Baguio. Di ba? Okay. Ang Tarlac River is higher than the Manila North Road or MacArthur Highway. Pag umulan at nag-overflow ng banks, may iwan yung tubig doon sa MacArthur Highway. Ngayon ang problema, hot asphalt. After 24 hours, malulusaw. Okay? So masisira yung kalye. Pag nagkaroon ng pera ang Department of Public Works and Highways doon, gagawin ulit yung karsada, asphaltong mainit na naman. Pagdating ng tag-ulan, babaha na naman, malulusaw na naman yon. Every year, inuulit yung karsadang sana gawa na kung maayos yung gawa. So, pwedeng inayos yung baha. Pwedeng ginawa semento na lang yung MacArthur Highway para hindi natutunaw. Pero for the longest time, nung napo akong congressman, doon ko natuklasan. No? Yung gawa, uulitin, parang every year may kontrata yung gumagawa. Pero hindi natin napaparami yung karsada natin. No? Ulit ka lang na ulit na nagawa na. Yun ang tali ng corruption sa atin. So pag nandun ka kunyari Coldereras, hanggang ngayon, bundok ang tinatawid na papunta sa eskwela. No? So, sana nakaabot na yung mga karsada doon. Sana meron ng pampublikang sasakyan. Yung bata, hindi na kilometro yung nilalakad. No? Sana mas malapit na yung eskwelahan doon. Yun ang nabadali natin.
Maraming salamat po.
Okay? Kay Joshua.
Magandang hapon po, aming mahal na Pangulo. Ako po si John Jensen Amorin Guevara. Mahirap po bang maging presidente? Who will you be? Or what would you do if you were not a government official or a president?
Can I answer the last part of the question? I'll probably be in business, no? I think the hardest thing to do is not to be able to do something. Parang di ba, I'm sure, no? Pag sinabi ng Pag-asa walang pasok bukas, nakangiti kayo lahat. Yeah? But if you were to do that for a month, 1 month na, ano gagawin natin to araw na to? Ganun. So, to occupy my mind and to continue parang the challenges, I'd probably be doing a business that I'd be interested in. Now, is it hard to be president? I'll leave it to your imagination. No? Pero I'm responsible for 95 million Filipinos. I'm responsible for 10 million of those Filipinos who are not in the country. Which means, no, in Israel, there was a flare-up on the Gaza Strip. In the Gaza Strip, we have 120 Filipinas. No? In Israel, we have 41,000. If, di ba parang yung aerial attacks by Israel on the Gaza Strip would put in danger the 120 of our compatriots there. We have 1/4 of the world's seafarers. No? 1/4 of everybody who goes on board a ship, Filipino. No? Now, if the Somali pirates capture one of the ships that traverses their coastline or the Indian Ocean, chances are there will be a Filipino involved. Okay. We have to feed the 95 million Filipinos. No? You have to make sure your electricity is always there. I guess it's a job na talagang 24/7. Global na yung Pilipino. Maraming pinamanang problema sa akin. For instance, yung NFA, which is vital to our farmers, binaboy yung pagtakbo. No? Nung minananagi ng Arroyo yan, about roughly a little over 12 billion pesos ang utang. By the time she left it to me, it was 177 billion pesos na utang na nung NFA. Wala natin bayaran yun. No? Pag merong, siguro, palagi ko, pwede mo naman, madali mo na imagine gaano kahirap ito trabaho ito. But at the same time, we're achieving so many things that I thought would take longer. No? So, ulitin ko, like yung kanina example ko sa inyo sa public works and highways, pagkatagal-tagal sila ini-image natin para pinakakurap. Suddenly, they're producing, di ba, a project 100 days ahead of schedule and below budget. No? How about yung schools? No? Na the budget, national budget, can only supply roughly about 8,000 classrooms a year. So I have 6 years as president. 8 times 6 is 48. Yeah. Yun lang, 48,000 ang kaya kong pagawa normally out of the 66,800. But imagine in 3 years' time, tapos na yung 66,800. Dr. Ona says that by the end of next month, there will be no municipality that will not have a doctor. We've deployed something like 30,000 nurses because one of the problems for our country, especially in rural areas now, 40% never get to see a health professional. Oh, now we're sending, nurses need work experience. We need health professionals. So we have deployed at least 30,000. We have 3.1 million Filipino families under the conditional cash transfer program so that they are able to send, parang helps them to send their children, keep their children in school. The children will have a marketable skill by the time they finish high school. So, at the end of the day, regardless of the challenges, we're kinda, hindi ko naman sasabihin mayabang na kami ngayon. Noong una, talagang ano pa kaya ang iniiwang problema sa atin na didiskubre. Talagang para bang ang bigat ng dinadalhin. Ngayon, may mga problema, may mababigat na problema, pero oras lang pinag-uusapan ng solusyon. May confidence na masosolve natin lahat to in due time. Okay.
Maraming salamat po aming mahal ng Pangulo.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I am Sofia Isles, 8 years old, grade 2. Sir, when did you start to want to be a president? Were you always a leader since you were a small boy? How can I be a great leader too?
Meron pa, Sofia? Okay. So, when did I want? Honestly, I didn't want to be president. Especially after Mrs. Arroyo. I was a member of the opposition. I thought she was doing, and I believe she was doing a lot of wrong things. So I was trying for these wrong things not to happen. But she was so much in control then that they really did all of these things. So the person who follows after Mrs. Arroyo will be the person responsible for fixing all of the problems she created or she inherited. Okay? So, will you volunteer to be the one to fix the problems that somebody else made? Yeah? Para normally, hindi. Okay. Now, was I always a leader? My grandfather told me, if I get to have a groupmate, I'll have a barkada, not to be, parang not to be the type that follows the leader. No, dapat para may paninindigan ka raw. Huwag ka raw kakalad ka rin na makaibigan mo. Dahil baka mabarkada mo, hindi nice people. Okay? Now, what will it take to be a great leader? Having said that, you have to be a good follower also. How will you know what the people want when you were never one of those who was a follower? You have to prepare as much as possible. Kami ni Bolet, for instance, and our directors also continue to study even after we've graduated from college or from masteral programs or even doctoral programs. There's so much knowledge that you can keep on growing. And the more knowledge, my father told me, kasi knowledge is power. The more knowledgeable you are, it follows that you can be more powerful. Okay? So, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower, and you always have to have that thirst for always improving yourself. Okay, Sophia? Sige. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, sir. I am Spring Castrades. I'm a good angklung player. I am 8 years old but already in grade 2. Mr. President, I watched Phantom of the Opera. What kinds of musicals do you like? Do you have time to watch?
When I watch a movie on DVD, for instance, sometimes the schedule is so bad that I will have to watch it in 2 weeks. Parang half this week, half next week. Parang there was a time I had to start the film again because I forgot already what the first part was. No? Now, I get DVDs of concerts, then I go directly to the songs that I want. Now, if I really had time, there was an old play, a musical by Tim Rice, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew Lloyd Webber. It was called Jesus Christ Superstar. No? Then, of course, my mother always brought us to Sound of Music, South Pacific. I think we had King and I. Okay. Pero lately, if I have the time, I can't sit through the whole thing. Parang if possible, can I just go to the ones that I'm really interested in?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I am Johan Bernardo here. I have a 9-month-old baby brother. My question is it hard to be a kuya since you lost your mother and father? Is it hard to take care of your sisters?
When we lost both our parents, we were parang off age na, we were not children. I was 23 when my father was assassinated. My mother passed away 3 years ago. So we were old already. Then, siguro, I'd like to think we were all treated equally. And we were all told to nurture each other and to take care of each other. Then we had an extended family, that cousins, aunts, etc., who were there for us, especially during the martial law years. So, was the burden really hard on me? I don't think so. No. I had a lot of people who were helping me carry out my responsibilities. Of course, when my dad told me when I was 13 years old, na he thought that would be the last time we'd see each other, na he was, in effect, telling me to take care of my mother and my sisters, I really took that seriously. Na it was a commitment I had to my dad and a promise I made to him that I would, if he were no longer able to carry his role as father of the family, then I will try to fill his shoes as best as I could.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Yon.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. On behalf of my fellow 6th graders, we would like to thank you for reading our letters and taking your time to visit our small school. Even though our school is small, we still have fun learning here. Sir, my name is Alfonso Lava. I am graduating this year and I am aiming to be in the director's list. My question is, how did you manage your time when you were still studying in school? And what study techniques did you use that helped you do well in school?
And to be honest with you, I work best, I think, when I'm under pressure. Parang, especially in college, when we had to, parang think of it, maswerte na kayo ngayon. Time namin kasi when you had to submit, my school at that time was known for atrocious handwriting. Now, we had one professor that taught one generation, meaning 25 years ata siya, penmanship. No? And his only method of instruction was to use a meter stick. Pag di niya type, may palo ka kagad sa kamay. So, pangit na kayo sulat mo, papaluin ka pa. So, yung isang trait nung pinanggalingan ko eskwela, pare-pareho kami pangit na sulat for about 25 years. Okay. So, by the time we got to high school and college, they'd ask us to type. No? Yung computer was at its infancy. Mahal si computer, mahal si printer. Para yung maunang computer siguro kasi laki nitong kwartong to. No? Okay. Tsaka yung pagbubuksan pala, marami na commands yun. Okay. Anyway, sorry, naisip ko lang, pag nagka-cut and paste kayo, sa amin nung araw, literal cut and paste. Kugupitin mo yung paragraph, ipe-paste mo on a new sheet. No? Doon ang galing yung phrase na cut and paste. Okay? So what were the study techniques? I try to pay attention as much as possible to what the teacher was saying. My problem lang, and sorry kung medyo mayabang ang dating, no? Pag magaling yung teacher, talaga inspired ako. Pag mahina naman yung teacher, talagang parang ginagawa ko dito. No? Especially in college. No? There were those who could, parang we were taught rather early on, we could argue with them. No? Parang not to accept everything na monkey see, monkey do. Hindi ba? Pag may sinabi siya, ulitin mo. Hindi ganun. Kailangan alam mo ano ba yung sinasabi mo. Kailangan thorough knowledge. So, one, no, I really tried to imbibe everything that they could. I'd probably go beyond the textbooks. No? If there was other, I had both parents who were well-read, who encouraged me to read also, who, parang, I think even before we were reading, babasa ka na ng fairy tales. No? Then that was like the normal ritual. Pag you spent your allowance on things na frivolous, pariringgan ka. Pag bumili ka ng libro, pupurihin ka. So medyo na-encourage kang ilagay mo na lang sa libro. No? Wala kayong issue pareho. What else? Tsaka siguro it starts with the thing that they taught us by the time we graduated college. If they were successful, you would be able to say that you know that you do not know. And therefore, you will seek to know. I guess that's the best lesson. Eh. Pag dumating ka mag-aaral ka na alam mo na lahat, paano ka pa matututo? Alam mo na lahat. Eh. Pero kung papasok kayo, humble enough, no? Na there are so many things that you still have to learn. Even at this point in my life, no? I have several doctorates, maski honoris causa. I have my degrees from the college that I went to. I have this wealth of experience from my life. But I think there's so much more that I can still do. No? And I can still learn. Especially for areas of interest and even sometimes areas out of my interest. But I feel I need the knowledge for instance, in discussion sa RH bill, no? I'm not married, I don't have a family, I don't have the problems inherent with yung uncontrolled populations. No? But I cannot converse intelligently with the advocates and the opponents if I do not know the core material or the core subjects, the core issues. So, being a good student really is that. I was gifted with a very good memory. No? But more than anything, I think most of my teachers I was fortunate to have really challenged me. Now, that forced me to really excel. I had college lalo na, I had a professor who was the equivalent of the valedictorian in Harvard of his class. And for whatever reason, noon nakala ko masyado ako pinepresol nito. It was a 55-minute class. 15 minutes of that 55 minutes was reserved for our debate. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sabi ko, bakit ba ako na lang nakikita nito every time? At dumating rin po to, medyo mayabang rin tayong konti at the time, hindi ako nagpapatalo sa kanya. Hindi ko inaatrasan. Sabi ko, dulo nito, ibabaksak niya ako. Uulitin ko to sem na to, pero hindi ako atras dito. Parang hindi ako sip-sip eh. Nung pala, he really just wanted me to excel to the greatest degree possible. That's why he challenged me in that manner. And afterwards, he was one of my best friends. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.